Good morning. I am Ipe Tsuruga, Social Protection Program Manager at the International Labour Organization based in Jakarta, Indonesia. And congratulations for the Indonesian Model United Nations 14th conference, annual conference this year. And congratulations for hosting that event. And I'm honored to be invited to your event, and I'm recording this video before I am joining you in this afternoon. And the topic this year is the SDG number 10, that is inequality. Do you think, students, this is the issue of someone else, or this is an issue of many of you? Most of students who may be listening this video or who will be listening my keynote talk show this afternoon may actually end up with a middle class or middle income group when you retire. That may be a good news for many of you, or some of you may want to become high income earners. But on average, many of you will most likely be a middle income group when you retire. And almost all of you will have to face the same problem in 20 years and 30 years time. That is aging. As in many countries in Asia, Southeast Asian region, Indonesia will be rapidly aging. As you may know, the government of Indonesia and the business communities of Indonesia aims to achieve the golden Indonesia with maintaining high growth, economic growth, while maintaining a low inequality. But we must be aware of aging. Indonesia will actually become the silver Indonesia in 20 and 30 years time when you become middle age. I'm 40 years old this year, and when you reach this age in 20 years time, Indonesia will be an aging society. Today, there are 30 million older persons above the age of 60, and that figure will go up to 70 million populations above the age 60 in 20 to 30 years time. So when you become around 40 to 45 years old, your society, Indonesia, will be silver Indonesia. How can we deal with this issue? Who will take care of these old people? Today, working age population can take care of them because of demographic bonus. Demographic pyramid is still favor of such a situation. 6 working age population supporting 1 older persons today. That ratio will go down in 30 years time. 3 working age population will have to take care of 1 older person. It clearly shows the economic burdens of your generation will rapidly increase in 20 to 30 years time. How can social protection help you? Help the society? Help Indonesia to achieve golden Indonesia rather than silver Indonesia? Let me take my example. I'm coming from a rural agriculture village in the northern parts of Japan. My grandfather was almost the first generation of my village. My village has only 100 years of history. My grandfather cutting a forest and cultivating the farmlands, and he is a self-employed farmer. And my grandfather too. My grandmother and father too. My parents were working in a cooperative, and then they were also doing livestock farming. My grandfather had 10 brothers and sisters for each side. My parents had 3 brothers and sisters. I have only 1 brother. This is a real example of aging. What about the care burdens? My grandfather this year is age 98, and most of my grandfather's generations lived up to 80 to 90 in my family. My grandfather was a self-employed farmer, but now, after he retired, he continues receiving about 80 million Indonesian rupiah equivalent. That is about 40% of minimum wage in Japan every year. So he still has a regular income. Every 2 months, he receives cash from the pension fund managed by the government. This is a social security, social protection pension. The country is supporting his daily expenses. He's paying himself the care services. He's paying himself health expenditure. He's paying himself foods. But he still has some money left in his account, and he gives me back. He gives me money. What about my parents? They have already retired at the age of 60, and they started receiving pension. And each of them receives about 200 million rupiah every year from the public pension schemes. That is about equivalent to minimum wage in Japan. That's yearly pay. I mean, every 2 months they receive payments. I asked my brother, what if there were no public pension systems? Do you think you could pay our parents 200 million rupiah every year? And then I can also pay 200 million rupiah to my mother, and you will take care of my father's expenditure, 200 million. And my brother immediately told me it's not possible, because that is half of his annual salary. It's not possible for us to pay their expenses. And my parents even didn't pay to their parents, my grandfather and grandmothers, because they didn't have to pay their daily expenses to their parents, because the public pension system started when my grandfather was aged 30. Even though he was a self-employed farmer, he was able to participate in the public pension system. And 30 years later, he started receiving pension. So that my parents' generation didn't have to help them. And I'm a sandwich generation. I don't have to take care of my parents in terms of, money. My brother and I don't pay their daily expenses, rents, food, medicines. Japan has pension system, medical care, health insurance system, long-term care insurance. These are the social protection, social security schemes. What about Indonesia? Today, only 20 million Indonesian workers in the large and medium enterprises are paying contributions to BPJS Ketenagakerjaan for the pension scheme, jaminan pension. There are 130 million working age population who are not participating in this scheme. So they may have to, most of them or most of you would have to save for old age yourself. The pension system doesn't allow self-employed people to participate in the scheme, so they are legally excluded. But all of you will have the same problem, aging. You'll be the sandwich generation. I can promise you, I'm 100% sure you'll be a sandwich generation. And many of you or your parents will retire without any public pension. How would you, or how would your parents pay their expenses, pay their parents' expenses? And how would you take care of yourself, your parents, your grandparents, and your children in the future? The world hasn't found any better solutions than public pensions. That's why many countries in this region, Southeast Asian regions, are trying to establish the good pension system that allows all people in their countries, so that they will not have this problem in the 10 years, 20 years, 30 years time. Indonesia also needs to start preparing for aging. In my view, this is the only way that your generation can avoid the problem of sandwich generation. And the Social Security can eventually then contributing to preventing poverty because of old age, and it can reduce inequality in the future. Otherwise, if some of you become rich, you would be okay. But many of you will be ending up in the middle class. And unfortunately, some few of you may become poor at some point. And then there are no public pension systems, no good social security, social protection systems here. Then it will be the problem. The social protection could help you get out of this problem, vicious cycle, and could reduce inequality eventually by preventing poverty or minimize negative or adverse effects of economic downturns in a rainy day. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you in this afternoon at the 14th conference of Indonesian Model United Nations in Jakarta. And thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you.